Neil from Essex here to talk about these 4 LX series tractors. On your left, I have these 2 LX4020s headed out to new customers. And on your right, these 2 LX2620s also on their way out the door. Now, when you look at this family of tractors, you would probably assume that within the LX series, these machines are going to be fairly similar from one to the next. But in the case of these machines, that could not be further from the truth. The difference between an LX2620 and the 3520 and 4020 is absolutely night and day. These are very different machines from one another, even though they sit on the same size chassis and share the same tires. So today, we're gonna walk around these tractors and point out some of those differences.
Essex, a helping hand with your land.
When coming out here today, I considered making a video about the differences between the LX2610, the prior generation tractor, and today's LX2620. And I quickly realized that would probably be one of the shortest videos that has ever been made, because even though this tractor appears to have gone through a product generation change, very little actually changed. In this case, the only things that Kubota went through and did was upgrade the headlights to a new LED model and make a small change back in the transmission that makes it a little bit quieter and have a little bit less whine. Other than those two things, the 2610 and the 2620 are nearly identical machines. You're gonna notice the operator's platforms being exactly the same, and they take exactly the same implements. The 3520 and 4020 though, that's a different story. The first major difference that we're gonna see between these two tractors is gonna be in their loaders and in their front axles. It's fairly common on a B-Series tractor to get periodic complaints about stability, particularly in the cab models that have all this extra weight up high. Now, we could take all of the B-Series tractors and put wheel spacers on them to help mitigate that concern, to move those wheels out for a little bit more stability. But now the 3520 and 4020 tractors are coming through with some differences in the front end to help address that. So when you look at the front tires here, the front tires on this newer series tractor are physically wider, and the loader is also physically wider as well. You're gonna notice more difference here between the loader boom and the hood in this gap in here than you will over in the 2620. So in getting that upgrade, you're also getting the horsepower and all the stuff here, but a little bit better stability because of this wider footprint. It is extremely uncommon when new models come out for there to be a complete rework of the back of the transmission. That is the case in these tractors. If you look here at a 4020 series machine, you're gonna notice that you have both 540 and 540E, being that these are high horsepower tractors. That E mode allows you to get the speed that you need for your rear implements, but still be able to run that engine at lower RPMs. Being that it's a new transmission, it's also a very quiet transmission. It supports features like Kubota's auto throttle. When you step down on the throttle, it raises the engine RPMs. It has more hydraulic flow. And all of these features combined make for a small LX series tractor now that really kind of sets the standard in the industry for features and meat in the rear end. This is a much, much more capable small tractor than what most people are realizing. Over in the 2620 though, we have the same rear end that's been used in the LX series tractors now for about a decade. Now, I own the 3310, the bigger version of that same tractor. I haven't had much complaints with it, but I can tell you from experience that it is a little bit more whiny of a hydrostatic transmission. Now, all hydros whine to a point, but that one has been particularly loud. Now, in the 2620, you're gonna see the same castings. You haven't picked up all these additional features here that I talked about because it is that older transmission, but there's some differences in some of the gears internally that have quieted down that transmission a little bit. So all of these features here that you read about and you hear about in the 3520 and the 4020 do not exist in the 2620 series tractor. Looking at the cab versions of these tractors, they very much feel like they're out of the same family, right? You can see the same design philosophies, a lot of the same buttons. The dashes of the two are almost identical, with the exception of some electronic throttle recalls that are available up on the 35 and the 40 horse machine. You're gonna notice that the cruise control here is built a little bit differently. The levers are just different on the bigger tractors. On your right-hand side, you do have some differences here for the PTO. Again, that 540, 540E is engaged a little bit different here internally than what the older tractor is. The PTO control on this newer machine up here is a knob that's right in front of your fingers here when you're sitting on the seat, as opposed to a lever that sits down over here on the side on the older tractor. So not huge differences, not deal breakers one way or the other, but when you know all the intricacies and all the quirks and the differences between these different tractors, you're not surprised to find that some of the things in the cab variant come out looking and feeling a little bit different. So in summary, what do I think is happening here? I think Kubota made some smart choices here. The LX2610 was one of the highest volume tractors coming out of our dealership, the right machine for a lot of people. And by making just a handful of changes here to modernize it a little bit and only taking the price up about $500, keeps it really at that sweet spot. It is the right machine for so many people. Now there's a jump here when you leave the 2620 and come up to the 3520 of about $7,000. A certain amount of that is going to be because the 26 horse engine is the biggest engine you can have without a diesel particulate filter sitting on top of it to address diesel emissions. So it is normal when you go over 26 horsepower to jump about 2,500 to 3 grand or so. And Kubota's asking for about another 3 grand more than that in all of these other changes that have happened in the LX series tractor, kind of making this a super tractor, right? You look how big this machine is, a 40 horse engine with 540E and a machine that I could sit here and put my elbows on top of. There is a lot of power in this package that's very cool. It's a really unique place in the market. It's a place Kubota hasn't been before so much. And I don't know that it's fully appreciated all the things that they have done in the upper end of the LX series tractors. All of that said, it's important for you to understand, even though these are all family tractors and we expect to see a $1,500 to $2,000 difference from one model to the next, my gosh, is that not the case here, right? The price spread here is fairly enormous, but so is all the differences between these machines. If you're shopping for a piece of equipment and we can help, or if you've got parts or service needs for a machine you've already got, give us a call at Messick's. We're available at 800-222-3373 or online at Messick's.com. But keeping its price point, this machine only has gone up about, come on.